A few years ago, apps mostly waited for you to open them. Now they chase you constantly. Notifications, buzzes, alerts, recommendations, emails, limited time reminders, messages asking if you've missed something. It feels like every app on your phone is fighting for your attention every second of the day, and that's not happening by accident. Because in today's digital economy, attention became one of the most valuable resources in the world. Not oil, not data, not products, attention. And once companies realized how profitable human attention could become, the entire app industry changed around it. The reason every app wants your attention 24/7 is actually very simple. The longer you stay engaged, the more money companies make. That single idea now shapes much of the modern internet. Most apps today are not just software products, they are engagement systems. Social media platforms make money from advertising. Streaming apps want longer viewing sessions. Shopping apps want repeat browsing. Gaming apps want daily activity. Subscription platforms want retention. In almost every case, more attention creates more revenue. That means app companies are no longer simply competing to be useful, they're competing to become habits. And habits are incredibly valuable businesses. Because once an app becomes part of your daily routine, leaving becomes much harder. That's why modern apps increasingly behave less like tools and more like systems designed to keep users continuously engaged. The biggest shift happened when companies discovered that user attention could be measured very precisely. Apps now track how long you stay, what you click, when you leave, what keeps you scrolling, what triggers emotional reactions, what makes you return. That data allows companies to optimize engagement at extraordinary levels, and algorithms became incredibly powerful because of it. Algorithms learn something important very quickly. Human attention is heavily driven by emotion and unpredictability. People keep checking apps when they expect rewards, surprises, social feedback, or emotional stimulation. That's why notifications became so aggressive. Every notification is essentially a psychological trigger. Someone liked your post, you received a message, a new video appeared, a product is almost sold out, a streak is about to expire. These alerts are carefully designed to pull users back into the system repeatedly throughout the day, and once users return, apps try to keep them engaged as long as possible. This is why infinite scrolling became so common. Years ago, websites had natural stopping points. You finished reading, you reached the bottom of a page, you logged off. Modern apps remove stopping points intentionally. Feeds refresh endlessly, videos autoplay automatically, recommendations never stop. Because the longer users remain inside the platform, the more valuable they become economically, and competition made this behavior even more extreme. The app economy became brutally crowded. Millions of apps compete for the same limited human attention. That creates enormous pressure. If users become bored, distracted, or emotionally disconnected, they can leave instantly. So, apps increasingly fight to stay psychologically present in users' minds at all times. That's why platforms constantly send reminders, recommendations, and engagement prompts even when users are inactive. Silence became dangerous for digital businesses because attention naturally drifts elsewhere, and social media accelerated this entire system dramatically. Platforms discovered that emotionally charged content keeps users engaged longer. Outrage and excitement, conflict, drama, fear, validation. Strong emotions increase interaction, so algorithms increasingly prioritize content likely to trigger reactions. That's one reason people often feel emotionally drained after spending time online. The system is optimized for stimulation, not calmness. And this creates a strange effect. Apps increasingly compete not just for time, but for emotional energy. The goal is becoming emotionally difficult to ignore. That's why apps personalize experiences so aggressively now. No two users see exactly the same content anymore. Algorithms adapt to individual behavior patterns. What keeps you engaged may be completely different from what keeps someone else engaged. Apps study those patterns constantly, and artificial intelligence is making the system even more sophisticated. AI allows companies to predict when users may leave, What content increases engagement? What notifications trigger responses? What keeps people scrolling longer? That means apps are becoming increasingly optimized around behavioral prediction. In many ways, modern apps operate like attention laboratories running continuous experiments on human behavior, and businesses have strong incentives to keep improving these systems because attention became directly connected to profits. Advertising revenue depends on engagement, subscriptions depend on retention, e-commerce depends on repeated interaction. Even apps that don't directly sell ads still need attention because attention creates leverage. The more attention a platform controls, the more influence it gains over users, advertisers, creators, and markets. That's why attention became one of the most competitive battles in modern business, and users are feeling the effects everywhere. Notifications became constant, apps became harder to leave, online time increased dramatically, digital fatigue became more common. Many people now feel mentally exhausted after long periods online without fully understanding why. Part of the reason is that modern apps are designed to continuously stimulate the brain, constant novelty, constant updates, constant emotional input, constant social comparison. The brain rarely gets natural rest inside these environments. And there's another reason apps aggressively chase attention. Predictable engagement creates stable business models. Investors reward companies that can keep users returning consistently. Daily active users became one of the most important metrics in tech. Not just downloads, not just installs, daily engagement. Because businesses learned that users who return constantly are far more valuable long-term. That's why apps increasingly prioritize retention over simple functionality. The goal is no longer just helping users complete tasks efficiently. The goal is keeping users inside the ecosystem as often as possible. And this changes how apps are designed. Features become addictive, rewards become intermittent, social feedback becomes constant. Stopping points disappear. Many apps now resemble behavioral systems more than traditional software. And there's another hidden reason this keeps intensifying. Human attention has limits, but digital content does not. There are now endless videos, posts, ads, games, products, and notifications competing for the same finite amount of human focus every day. That imbalance creates a nonstop competition for engagement, and companies that fail to capture attention risk disappearing entirely. So businesses keep pushing harder, smarter algorithms, more personalization, more notifications, more emotional content, more engagement systems. Because in today's economy, attention itself became the product, and once attention became the product, apps stopped simply serving users and started competing to control as much of human focus as possible.